Okay, in this video, I'll be covering interviews which include a presentation or assessment. I'll uncover how to tackle these styles of interviews and give you some strategies that you can use. So let's get started. You've applied for a job and you've got through on your CV or maybe the first stage assessment. Congratulations if you have, well done. But now your task is to complete an assessment, or sometimes they might ask you to do a presentation. Sounds overwhelming, right? Well, don't worry. Let's start with the assessment. According to Harvard Business Review, 76% of employers include an assessment in the interview process. Assessments, whether they're written tests, case studies, or technical challenges, offer valuable insights into your problem-solving abilities, leadership skills, and sector experience. Probably, most importantly, these tests demonstrate how you cope under pressure. But with some of my strategies, you'll be well equipped to approach the assessments with confidence and maximize your chances for success. So firstly, understand the format. Familiarize yourself with the format and the details of the assessment. Whether it's a written test, case study, technical challenge, or a combination of these, you could be at disadvantage if you don't know all that you can find out about these assessments, because internal candidates no doubt will know a bit about them. So try and find out how long you'll have and how many questions you need to complete, and find out things like, will you be able to have a calculator, a pen? Will you be able to take information into the assessment with you? Is it open book? Is it closed book? What software is the presentation going to be on? Are you going to be doing an Excel spreadsheet? Are you going to have a Word document? Is there any particular industry type of software that they want you to use? Is the test under a certain software provider? Does that software provider create assessments? Can you have a look into them and find some mock questions from them? These are all really good information and questions to ask to get information around the type of assessment that you're going to be doing to help you to prepare. So understanding the format and many of the details, the more you can prepare effectively. So if you don't know, do ask. Next up is practice. Practice, practice, practice. You want to dedicate regular time to practicing these problem-solving tasks or any similar tasks and assessments that you might encounter in your assessments for job interviews. Practice under timed conditions to simulate the pressure of an actual assessment. Can you find any similar mock tests on the internet to practice with? I'm sure you can. In fact, I'll show you some tips on where you can look following this lecture. Okay, next is focus on the fundamentals. Prioritize mastering fundamental concepts and problem-solving techniques relevant to the role that you're applying for. Strengthen your understanding of the key concepts and practice applying in various scenarios. For example, let's say you are applying for a project management role and you currently use agile methodology, something I know about. You could look into other well-known methodologies such as Prince2, so that you have a range of project management methods should you need to discuss more than one concept, and know the benefits and the drawbacks of each. This shows that you've got a holistic and broad view of your particular subject area. This will show the vast understanding that you've got in your sector and not just one aspect. We can use ChatGPT for some of this, and I'll show you how to do this in a later lecture. Okay, next is utilize resources. Make use of resources such as practice tests, study guides, and online tutorials to enhance your skills and knowledge. Seek out additional learning materials or courses if needed to fill any gaps in your knowledge. You can use online courses to help, like this one, and any that are specific to the work area and industry and topic that you're actually applying for. Do take a look at other people in your field on LinkedIn to see if you can get inspiration from any courses that they've taken. If you search online, you can often find many exam simulators and practice tests. Udemy itself is often a great source for assessment question banks. As I mentioned in the previous point, we'll have a look at where to find some of these later. Time management is the next one. Develop effective time management strategies to ensure that you can complete all tasks within the allotted time. Practice pacing yourself and prioritizing tasks and questions based on difficulty and importance. If you know how long your assessment is going to be and how many questions you have, then you can calculate how much time you should spend per question. And that only works if all questions are weighted the same. So make sure you know which questions have a higher weighting than others, because you're going to want to spend more time on the ones where you can get more points for. If a question is taking longer than the time that you've allotted, then consider skipping it to come back to later. You may have time at the end of the assessment to come back to any that you couldn't finish. On this note, it's also worth knowing how the questions are weighted. Make sure you don't miss any easy points and any of the easier questions, and you may want to give more time to the questions that reward more points. Next point is to stay calm and focused. Easier said than done, I know. On the day of the assessment, try and stay calm and focused. Take deep breaths and manage any nerves. And read each question carefully before attempting to answer. Stay confident in your abilities. And I'll show you a tip for how to read the questions properly in a lecture following this one. And just another tip on staying calm, something that I find helps me is, although you're doing lots of prep for this interview, what can happen is you can build this up in your own mind as something that is really, really important. Of course, it's important, but all of this prep work that you're doing is going to put a lot of investment of your time and energy into it, and it's going to build it up in your head. You can really start to get panicky about it. So what I like to do is the day of the assessment, or even, and especially the night before, maybe even the day before, I've done all my preparation, just relax at that point. I don't think cramming for an assessment or cramming for an interview is going to help so close to the assessment or interview. What you want to do is relax. Maybe before the assessment, just go and have a walk. Go have a walk in the woods, go have a walk around the city, whatever it is, and just try and clear your mind so that when you come to the assessment, you are at least a little bit relaxed, and just be confident that you haven't forgotten all that knowledge that's in your head. It will be there when you need it when you get to the assessment. But moments before the assessment, don't panic yourself by cramming. Just take that time to relax and go in a little bit more relaxed. I think that's really going to help you out. Next up is review and reflect. So after the assessment, take time to actually review your performance. Now, honestly, I don't think many of us actually do this. Once we've got through the assessment, whether we've got through it on a positive note or we've failed, or particularly if we've got through it and we've succeeded, we don't often take time to look back and think why we succeeded. We just think, yes, that's over with, on to the next assessment, or great, I got the job, I'm going to celebrate. But do take the time to look back and review your performance. And of course, if you didn't get through the assessment, then you're probably going to do this naturally anyway. But it is definitely worth taking the time to reflect on that assessment, because no doubt you're going to come across these assessments at some other point in your career, even if you got the job. So identify areas where you did well and areas where you might have struggled. Reflect on what you could have done differently and better, and use these insights to improve for any future assessments. Because whether you got this job or not, you're likely to have to go through the recruitment process again. I'm afraid this isn't a one-shot deal. You are going to need to go through the recruitment time and time again, particularly if you're ambitious and you want to keep moving up the ranks. You're going to need to go for lots of jobs.